So you are joining us here at 30 Parks in 30 Days. My name is Mike Redman alongside Jared Redman, and we are here for the next episode, the next installment of 30 Parks in 30 Days. We are getting so much closer to opening day, Darren, and tonight, as you can tell from our background, we are talking Minnesota Twins baseball in 2025. And, you know, Minnesota, what comes to mind when you say Minnesota, or do you hear Minnesota?
Mary Tyler Moore and Rod Carew.
I think it's a possible place that Chris Bennett and team at Nashville Tax Solutions could be hanging out right now. We don't know. But Darren, if you mind sharing a little bit about Nashville Tax Solutions, Minnesota Tax Solutions, go for it.
For those of you who want to get into what we do for a living, that's what the kids call a segue. That was beautiful. Attention Palm Bay and Fort Pierce. Are you struggling with tax issues? You know, whether you're behind on filings, dealing with a lien, or just need expert guidance, Nashville Tax Solutions here to help. Their team knows the ins and outs of tax relief and is ready to fight for you. But don't just take my word for it. Don't take Mike's word for it. Listen to what the clients have had to say. Chris Bennett and his team have saved me from my financial nightmare. They're knowledgeable, clear, and compassionate. So don't let tax troubles keep you up at night. Call 855-627-4829. Visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com today. Nashville Tax Solutions, because tax problems deserve a real solution.
They do deserve a real solution. And but thank you seriously, guys, for all that you do, getting us so much closer to that 2,000 subscriber count already. That's fantastic growth. So give them a call tomorrow, 8 a.m., 855-627-4829. So we are here to talk and preview for the next 9 minutes the 2025 baseball season for the Minnesota Twins. And so let's switch things up here, Darren, and let's go over, for those that have watched, that are good boys and girls that have watched all our other episodes of the AL Central Division teams. So we're going to go back in time real quick to see what myself and Darren felt like the placement would be. So we, in unison agreement, of course, that the Chicago White Sox, unfortunately, would be finishing in the 5th spot. So both agreed there. In 4th place, Darren actually has the Detroit Tigers, but very, very close to a playoff spot, but just outside of that. For myself, I haven't yet announced who my 4th place team is going to be. 3rd place, we were in both agreement that it was going to be the Cleveland Guardians, just missing the playoffs, which is pretty crazy considering they had a big division lead last year to finish that season off. So we both have the Guardians just outside, as good as we think they are going to be. 2nd place, I had the Kansas City Royals in that spot. And Darren has not announced his 2nd place team. And then wrapping things up, Darren felt that the Royals would be 1st place and myself, the Tigers. So with both, I believe, being playoff teams. So the beauty of the 2025 baseball season is 3 teams from one division could actually make the playoffs. So Darren, before we get into, because we've already covered that, so Darren, that would by default mean that you feel that the Minnesota Twins are going to finish 2nd in this division. And so do you see them making the playoffs?
I see them finishing 2nd and not making the playoffs.
Not making playoffs. So I know this is a division it's going to be a 4-team race again. And I think we're in agreement. Tigers will be there. Guardians will be there. Tigers, all that. But unfortunately, in Darren's mind, only the Royals seem like they're going to make the playoffs, which very well could happen because there's some beasts in some other divisions. Those that have watched, like for example, Darren believes the Angels might get there. There's the Astros that I felt get there, some other teams. So, all right, so that's where
the Angels are my surprise team.
Everyone's got to have the surprise team. It's not going to be same. And so, of course, by default, I have the Twins finishing in 4th, which could mean that they're 1 game out of 1st. And so that's 100%. How close that division is going to be. So
because I think the whole division is going to be beat up by some of the other stronger teams in other parts of the country.
Now, Darren, if you can look down at your hands real quick, how many hands do you have?
This many.
This many. Okay.
2.
You have a right hand, and you also have a left hand, which is more than I can say for the Minnesota Twins. They don't have a single left-handed pitcher on their rotation.
They're another team with no lefties.
No lefties. This is like the 7th team that we've previewed so far in the first 20 that don't have a single left-handed pitcher.
But their 5th starter has 3 names, so that It's very, very exciting.
Yes. And, so the notes here say that they're a deep and talented group with some talented youngsters waiting in the wings. So this is a rotation, of course, anchored by Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober, Joe Ryan, Chris Paddock, and the aforementioned Simeon Woods Richardson. Sounds like a tennis name.
And you know what's scary? You started with that wonderful pun about, what do you think of when Minnesota, right? And what did I say? I said one of the things was Mary Tyler Moore, right? And on the show, her name was Mary Richardson.
Yes, that's a very.
How did that happen?
I don't know. That's freaky how that happened. So,
Yep.
Before we jump into the lineup, we always like to, of course, talk about some of the notable acquisitions, and they really didn't do much. However, they did dip into the New York Mets pool. Not a surprise that Harrison Bader was not picked up by the Mets. Not at all. It was not at all. I enjoyed Harrison Bader's time as a Met. However, he's not going to get an opportunity to play every day, and so it's probably best that he does go elsewhere so he can be utilized more. With that said, as of right now, he's not slated to be in the lineup every day. However, he could earn some more playing time if he puts on a good showing. One of the things we've noticed a lot of these teams are the one-year deals, and that's the case again here. All the acquisitions from the Twins, although not that many, are one-year deals there. So, but Darren, if you want to take a look here at the notable subtractions, any name that stands out to you on that list, that one.
Well, only because of the team they went to, I would say Max Kepler with the Phillies, because everybody else went to kind of some nondescript teams. Okay, Khalib went to the Cubs, but Kyle Farmer, why'd you go to the Rockies?
Right. Yeah, and at least he went to a team. Giovanni Moran, I think they just dropped him off in the middle of the woods somewhere and just left him there because he's on my list as a subtraction, but there's no name in parentheses, so he's just free as can be. Apparently,
they gave him a wonderful opportunity to do something else.
Yes, they are. They are working at Chick-fil-A. How can I assist you today? So Minnesota Twins lineup this year: Matt Wallner, right field; Carlos Correa, shortstop. And your quick thoughts on that number 3 hole, Byron Buxton. I feel like this is a name where every year it's like he's this next level, and he's doing better than he did the first few years. But do you feel like he's finally made that where, to that spot where they're like, okay, this was the guy that we thought he was going to be?
Well,
or do you? Yeah,
it's not his fault.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean this sincerely, because I have the team finishing in second, but I also have them out of the playoffs. They just pitch around him. How can you get better when he sees nothing but junk?
Yeah.
There's nobody there with him.
Yep. Nope. And Correa is a good name or whatnot, but they're not gonna pitch to Byron Buxton with Trevor Larnach right behind him. I mean, you got Royce Lewis at third base, Jose Miranda DH, Brooks Lee second base, Ty France first base, and Ryan Jeffers at catcher. And it's noted here, Rocco Baldelli likes to use multiple lineups. Tampa Bay Rays are a team like that just cannot have the same lineup day to day. If I had my way, it would be a Friday, and you could even speed on the highway. No, if I had my way, I feel like it should be. I'm not saying 6 days a week and day 7 you go to your bench, but you got to keep the whole team in. I would say 3 out of every 5 games. It should be that same 1 through 9.
I agree.
Because sometimes what some teams do is they give half the team off on a Sunday, and that's not so much fair to a fan hoping to see their people and not seeing, but it's with the catcher is always the extension, of course, so as Darren mentioned, so as we sum up things here for the Minnesota Twins, this is going to be a team that's going to be in contention. They're going to beat the White Sox a bunch of times. They're going to beat the other teams, but because of some of the strength in the AL East, an improved NL West, which we both feel that 2 or more teams are going to come out of the AL West. To recap this division, I feel that both the Royals and the Tigers will get in. The Twins will be on the outside. Darren feels just the Royals will get in with the Twins right there, right behind them. So anything could happen except for the White Sox competing in the division. So with that said, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to keep those notifications on so you won't miss a single day of our 30 parks in 30 days. And until next time, folks, we'll see you around the ballpark.